Alexandra Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino tennis sensation who has rapidly become one of the most talked about young stars in world tennis, is preparing for what could be one of the most important opening matches of her entire 2026 grass court season. Standing across the net from her at the Birmingham Classic will be Australia's experienced campaigner Priscilla Hon, a player who knows exactly how dangerous grass court tennis can become when momentum starts to shift. But this is about far more than just a first-round match. This is about expectations. This is about pressure. And this is about whether Alexandra Eala is truly ready to take the next giant leap from rising star to legitimate global contender on one of tennis' fastest and most unforgiving surfaces. The stage is set at the historic Edgbaston Priory Club in Birmingham, England, where the world's best players gather every summer to begin their transition from the brutal grind of the clay season to the lightning-fast beauty of grass court tennis. For many players, this adjustment period is uncomfortable and chaotic. The movement changes. The bounce changes. The timing changes. Everything becomes quicker, sharper, and more dangerous. But for Alexandra Eala, this surface may represent something entirely different. Opportunity. If you have followed Eala's rise over the last few years, then you already understand why tennis fans across the Philippines and around the world are watching this tournament with enormous anticipation. Every match she plays now feels significant. Every tournament feels like another chapter in a larger story that continues to grow with astonishing speed. At just 21 years old, Eala has already become the highest-ranked Filipino woman in tennis history, a trailblazer carrying the hopes of an entire nation onto the biggest stages in world sport. Her journey from Manila to the international spotlight has inspired millions of young athletes who now see possibilities that once felt impossible. And now, as the grass court season begins, many experts believe this could become the breakthrough stretch that finally establishes her as a serious threat at Wimbledon. Before we fully analyze this matchup against Priscilla Hon, we first need to understand exactly how Alexandra Eala arrived at this moment and why her game is perfectly built for the grass courts of England. Born in the Philippines and later developed at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, Eala represents a fascinating blend of technical discipline, relentless work ethic, and fearless aggression. Training under the philosophy of Rafael Nadal's academy transformed her into one of the most tactically intelligent young players on tour. But what separates Eala from many other rising stars is her mentality. She does not play scared. She attacks. She takes risks. And she embraces pressure instead of running from it. That mindset has allowed her to rise through the rankings at remarkable speed despite coming from a country with limited tennis infrastructure compared to traditional powerhouse nations like the United States, Spain, Australia, or France. Everything Eala has achieved has required sacrifice. Long travel schedules, years away from home, intense training blocks, and constant pressure to prove that a Filipina player belongs among the elite names of the sport. Now ranked around world number 40, Eala enters Birmingham not simply as a promising prospect, but as the tournament's top seed and one of the biggest attractions of the entire event. That status brings enormous expectations. Fans now expect her to win. Opponents now prepare specifically for her. And tournaments now market her as one of the future faces of women's tennis. That is a completely different level of pressure compared to where she was even 2 years ago. Technically speaking, Eala's game is extremely dangerous on grass. Her left-handed serve immediately creates awkward angles that force opponents off the court. Her forehand is flat, explosive, and penetrating. On slower clay courts, players sometimes have enough time to recover and extend rallies against her power. On grass, however, that extra reaction time disappears completely. The ball skids through the court, points become shorter, and aggressive players suddenly gain a massive advantage. This is where Eala becomes terrifying. She loves taking the ball early. She loves stepping inside the baseline. And she thrives when she can dictate tempo instead of reacting defensively. Her movement on grass has also improved dramatically. Many players struggle to trust their footwork on slippery lawns, especially during their early grass court careers. But Eala showed last season that she is becoming increasingly comfortable on the surface. Her balance, court positioning, and ability to transition from defense into attack have all taken major steps forward. Last year's grass court season completely changed the way the tennis world viewed her potential. At Eastbourne, she made a stunning run all the way to her first WTA Tour final, defeating experienced players and proving that her aggressive game translates beautifully to grass. That tournament gave her confidence. It also gave the rest of the tour a warning. Alexandra Eala is not just a hardcourt player. She can hurt people on grass too. Now let us turn our attention to Priscilla Hon, because overlooking her would be a serious mistake. The Australian may currently sit outside the top 100 rankings, but her experience level is significantly higher than many younger players entering these events. Ranked around world number 135 with a career-high ranking inside the top 100, Hon understands professional tennis at a very deep level. She knows how to survive difficult matches. She knows how to frustrate aggressive opponents. And most importantly, she knows how to stay mentally composed when momentum begins to swing. Unlike Eala's explosive style, Hon relies more on consistency, patience, and tactical construction. She is not going to overwhelm opponents with raw power. Instead, she attempts to absorb pace, extend rallies, and force errors through discipline and positioning. That type of game can become dangerous if an aggressive player loses focus or begins missing too many shots. Hon also has valuable grass court experience from years of competing in British qualifying events and lower-level tournaments. While grass may not naturally suit her style as much as it suits Eala's, she understands how to survive on the surface. And survival matters tremendously in grass court tennis. Matches can change in just a few points. A single service break often decides entire sets. One lapse in concentration can destroy momentum instantly. This is why their head-to-head record becomes so fascinating. Eala and Hon have already faced each other twice before, and the record currently stands at 1 victory apiece. Their first meeting came in 2023 during qualifying rounds in Roehampton, England, where Hon managed to outplay the younger Filipina and secure a significant victory. That time, Eala was still learning how to manage professional-level consistency. But the second meeting told a very different story. In 2024, Eala defeated Hon convincingly in Ningbo, China, showing just how much her game had evolved. Her aggression became more controlled. Her decision-making improved. And her confidence looked completely different. Now they meet again with far more at stake. And for the first time they will battle on grass. That changes everything. Grass court tennis rewards players who can attack quickly and finish points efficiently. Defensive baseliners often struggle because the surface gives them less time to react and recover. This is precisely why many analysts believe the matchup heavily favors Alexandra Eala. Her serve becomes more dangerous. Her flat ground strokes become harder to defend. And her ability to redirect pace becomes significantly more effective. Hon, meanwhile, will likely need to disrupt rhythm constantly if she wants to stay competitive. She may try slicing low. She may attempt a slow tempo. She may use angles and variation to prevent Eala from finding comfortable timing. Because if Eala settles into her natural aggressive rhythm early in the match, the entire contest could move very quickly. Still, there are psychological elements that make this matchup interesting. Eala enters as the top seed and crowd favorite. That sounds positive, but it also creates pressure. Expectations from Filipino fans are now enormous wherever she plays. Every tournament becomes emotionally charged. Every loss becomes headline news. Can she handle being the hunted player instead of the hunter? That may become one of the defining questions of her 2026 season. The emotional support surrounding Eala continues to grow globally, especially among Filipino communities overseas. During tournaments in Australia, the United States, Europe, and the Middle East, Philippine flags have become a regular sight inside tennis stadiums. Birmingham is expected to be no different. The atmosphere may heavily favor Eala, and crowd energy on grass can absolutely influence momentum. If she starts strongly and gains confidence early, the support could become overwhelming for honorable beyond this specific matchup. Birmingham also represents something strategically important for Eala's season: momentum. Grass seasons are incredibly short. Players do not have months to adjust. They have only a few weeks before Wimbledon arrives. That means every match matters enormously. Every win builds confidence. Every victory improves seeding opportunities. And every strong performance increases belief. Winning Birmingham would instantly establish Eala as one of the most dangerous dark horses entering Wimbledon. The draw itself also presents intriguing possibilities. Veteran grass court specialist Tatiana Maria remains one of the biggest threats in the tournament. Her slice-heavy style and old-school grass court tactics make her extremely difficult to face on this surface. There are also dangerous floaters throughout the draw capable of causing upsets. But Eala enters with momentum, confidence, and perhaps most importantly, a game style perfectly suited for quick courts. Her preparation schedule also shows how seriously she is taking this grass court campaign. After Birmingham, she is expected to compete at additional major warm-up events before Wimbledon, including Queen's Club and Berlin. Reports have also suggested potential doubles appearances with legendary champions, opportunities that would only accelerate her growth and visibility inside the sport. The bigger picture here is impossible to ignore. Alexandra Eala is no longer just a promising young player from the Philippines. She is becoming a genuine global star. Television audiences rise when she plays. Social media engagement explodes around her matches. And tournament organizers understand that she brings attention, emotion, and passionate fan support unlike almost any young player on tour today. The tennis world is paying attention. And with every strong performance, the expectations continue growing. So what should fans expect when Alexandra Eala and Priscilla Hon finally step onto the grass in Birmingham? Expect intensity. Expect aggressive shot-making. Expect moments where Eala completely overwhelms the court with pace and confidence. But also expect resistance from Hon, who possesses enough experience and tactical intelligence to make portions of this match uncomfortable. The opening games may prove extremely important. If Eala starts quickly, lands first serves, and controls rallies early, she could dominate. But if Hon survives the initial pressure and extends points, the match could become much tighter than rankings suggest. Ultimately, however, the matchup still strongly favors Alexandra Eala. The surface favors her strengths. Her confidence on grass continues growing. And her aggressive style becomes significantly more dangerous under these conditions. The prediction heading into Birmingham is clear. Alexandra Eala should win this match. Not because Priscilla Hon lacks quality, but because Eala's current trajectory, confidence, and grass court potential place her at another level entering this tournament. Expect a competitive opening set as both players adjust to the pace and conditions. But over time, Eala's superior firepower, athleticism, and attacking instincts should begin taking control. Final prediction. Alexandra Eala defeats Priscilla Hon in straight sets, likely through one close set followed by a more dominant finish as the Filipino star settles into rhythm and announces herself once again as one of the most dangerous young grass court players in women's tennis. And if that happens, Birmingham may only become the beginning of something much bigger. Because the deeper Alexandra Eala moves into this grass court season, the more the tennis world is starting to believe that her moment is no longer somewhere in the future, maybe arriving right now.